Ladies and gentlemen, Tuckville here. Welcome to a matchup, a ZvP that we've got on Belshire Vestige, a map that I sincerely hope will be removed from the map pool very soon. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's introduce our players up at the top left-hand side as our Red Zerg player, playing for Team XT. This is over on the NA server, I believe. It is Justice. He's a High Master Zerg player, I believe it was, at the time of this particular replay, and he will be battling against a Protoss player we have seen a little bit of here on my channel. He's had to switch teams recently just due to some various changes or something like that was going on. Over here down in the bottom right hand side, as part of the TL Hero clan that I'm sure he made himself, it is I Love Hero, aka Gemini, formerly of IMP and a bunch of other teams, is now on the Vast Gaming team that is a North American / EU, well, I think a little bit EU, multi-gaming team. They've got some LoL players, some SC2 players. I think they're looking to expand to CSGO and also a couple of other games as well. So if if you're looking for a team or something, perhaps look for Vast Gaming, sponsored by SteelSeries. But yeah, let's, of course, Gemini is a player who we have seen quite a bit on my channel. I have done quite a few replays. He's been kind enough to send a few through, and we do get to see his particular style, which generally revolves around nice, clean, crisp builds, very much like his one true love, who obviously is Team Liquid's hero. He's an absolute fanatic when it comes to hero-related things, and as we'll see here, he is, I believe, going to be using a similar build to what Hero does in PvZ, so we'll find out exactly what that's going to be. I may know what it is, but I thought we'd sort of enjoy this journey together. So he is going to start us out with the Nexus first upon seeing that his opponent is going for pull first into hatch, so Justice going to play a little bit more of the safe route here. Now, I was talking a little bit earlier about how I'm not a huge fan of this particular map. Now, part of the reason is that, well, it's just getting a bit long in the teeth. Like, I'm sure we're all, we've all played on this map like a few hundred times, if not more. I'm sure many of the pros have played on it thousands and thousands of times. But, yeah, it's just getting, it's getting daybreak fever, I think, where it just gets, we're starting to, alright, we've worked out all the things relating to this map, blah, blah, blah. We know what goes on. It gets very predictable with what happens on good old Belshire. But, I mean, that's not to say that it's been a bad map. It's just been one that, it's almost time to take it out to the back shed, because it's, we need to see some more changes in the map pool. Now, one of the things which, of course, we do become very aware of with this map is the old pylon block down at the back here that was first seen in, I personally saw it in GSL, and then you can put a cannon down here, have a bit of range on someone's, or I suppose if you do it properly, you're doing it over here against the Zerg, and you can kill off a hatchery quite easily, and that's one thing which can be quite pesky. It is, it's something that makes Zerg players have to think twice before they expand. Sometimes you have to be very safe in your expansions. You have to, we did see in the WCS Korea finals a few days ago, when Sue was looking to expand down here, he actually sent like 4 drones. He had one patrolling back and forth just across here. He had another one on this side, and then another one over here as well. God, it was all crazy what was going on when Sue was trying to make sure that he didn't get cannon rushed by Deer. But Gemini, well, he's actually got a little bit of trouble himself. A few Lings have now made it inside the main base, and obviously we know why this has happened. Is because he did go that Nexus first before the Forge, which meant that the cannon was not up in time. So a couple of Lings are able to, generally they're normally able to sneak their way through. Sometimes a player will be able to block off the natural, and they may be able to keep the Lings from getting inside that way. But sometimes this kind of thing can happen where a few Lings will get inside. They're very pesky to deal with, because what they do is they just run around. They won't necessarily kill off any workers or anything like that, but what they do is they will keep an eye on what's going on with your tech. Now, Justice, I'm not sure why he's come down here. He loses one of the Lings, very silly, but it's all good. He's still droning up behind all of this. We've got some more drones now on the way. Double gas and his natural. We can see that he's now up to a total of 30 drones at this point. He's still just struggling a tiny bit at the moment. Just Gemini falling behind Gemini with his double chrono boost and double pro production. But now that the Lings are gone, he should be able to decide on what particular tech he's going to go for, and it is going to be a Stargate. Now, one thing that I know Hero does with his PvZ is a particular Oracle kind of opening, so we'll see if he is going to go down that particular path. Justice is looking for that tech building. I'm a little bit surprised he has sort of left this hasn't actually scouted that, but there we go, he has found it. He's probably going to just have a quick look and say, alright, there's a Stargate, what are we going to do about this? So, as a Zerg player, you want to try and be prepared for all sorts of things that can come out of the Stargate. Now, one thing that he can cross off the list is a Void Ray Zealot based combination. Now, why do we say this? Well, because there's simply, with the Forge Fast Expand, it's not the same sort of style where you can get out those extra gates and be prepared for something like that. So, Justice, all he needs to do is just say, alright, we'll grab a Spore or two, because the most likely kind of things that will come out of this are a few Phoenix and, or perhaps, you know, maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 Phoenix. Normally about 4 is the sweet spot that players generally tend to go for these days, but he can keep an eye on that. Another Overlord is looking to head inside the natural, wants to double check. Alright, we do have gas coming along. There's still quite a lot of workers here, so there can't be too many extra gates or anything along that line, so we did get to see a second Phoenix as well. So Gemini's going to head across the map. There is an interesting position for the Roach Warren. It's actually down here at the third base. It looks as if Justice wants to spread things out a little bit. He's got his Evo chamber here, researching +1 on the weapons as well. The lair is now switching in at the natural, and as you can see, a couple of spores are all prepared here in the main base as Metabolic Boost is just about to finish up. So Gemini is now taking his third base very quickly. Of course, this is only off one gate, and with the one Robo now just finishing up, he will be able to get out an Observer and possibly an Immortal shortly after that to make sure that he is protected against things like roaches. But one thing that you have to be very careful of is a big swell of Lings, which we do now see coming out of Justice. He's going to have a lot of Lings popping out onto the map. This is something which a lot of Zerg players will do in response to catching a very fast third base that the Protoss like to set up. We can see that Gemini has made a nice little setup with his wall. It's basically, it's kind of this little restrictive kind of wall here that means the cannon is a little bit all the way around here, and as you can see, that's going to have very little surface area, but we'll see how much can be done here by the Zerg player Justice as the Lings now get inside. Of course, there was around about 26, 28 Lings or something to that effect. The Nexus is starting to get a little bit low, but that one cannon, a couple of sentries, and of course the magical Mothership Core are all here and ready to go and defend that Nexus. And they do that. They do that quite well, as we can see. So Justice, he's back on the drawing board. He's got to figure out what he is going to do from here. Of course, Gemini, yet again, forced to be very, very careful with his positioning. He doesn't really want any of these probes to get caught out, but Justice not actually watching at the time. 5 Phoenix are going to scout out that Hydras are now on the way. A huge swell of Hydras were built up by Justice, and they were, well, I don't know what was going on there. They were looking to try and catch out the Phoenix, but there are still more and more on the way. This is a very common kind of tactic that we got to see a long time ago with in PvZ when Zerg players scout out that fast third. They decide, hey, let's put some pressure on that. How do we do that? We've got to use very quick units. Okay, Lings. We've got to use very powerful units. Alright, we'll get some Hydras out. And then you have to deal with the fact that the Protoss may be able to get a Colossus or two out, and you have to try and snipe this big boy down. Because if he gets out and he is able to protect the third, then you get set very, very far behind. Because the normally one of the best responses as a Zerg player to deal with a fast third base is also to get a Hive. You need to get that Viper sort of mixture out of there, and then you can use the Vipers to abduct and Blinding Cloud and all these kinds of things. So this does set our Zerg player a little bit further behind in that case, so effectively it would be nice to see him get some damage done. An Observer is going to keep an eye on this for Gemini, and that means he has really good intel on where this Zerg is going to come from. He can utilize the force fields to set up traps on this side just to block out the Hydras from retreating, and then the Colossi can come in and smash them down. But we'll see if we aren't going to catch anything like that here, as the photon cannons at the front are also going to help out here for Gemini, but a fourth base is now being taken by Justice. So this has gotten to a point where Justice is probably thinking, what am I going to do? I certainly would like to get something done, but how am I going to do it with this excellent fortification here at the third base? He's now, you know, my opponent is now up to a huge amount of probes. There's 72 already now out for Gemini, and with a second Colossus, this just You can never underestimate how powerful a second Colossus can be in this particular matchup, just because the Colossus, they just gain so much extra power when there are extra set of those thermal lances just slicing forward across the field, carving up those Zerg units. So it is really powerful to have that out, but as you can see, Justice is going to make a little bit of a switch here. Very, as we said, very common kind of way to play out the ZvP matchup from quite a while ago. As I said, it's not the most popular way usage of the units anymore, but we can see he's now switching it to mutas. We've got 10 mutas out on the field at the moment, 5 more on the way, and the Hydras are going to look to try and bust in at the third base. They may be able to take out a gateway or two and try and limit the surface area, but or try and expose some more of the surface area, but what this does is it pulls Gemini back a little bit. He's got double Stargates that have now finished up, so 3 Phoenix are now coming out at a time, and the Fleet Beacon has also just been placed, so he will be able to get out some Anion Pulse Crystals if need be. Gemini just reading Justice like a book at this point here. We can see that Justice now has his 4th, though, has 84 drones. I would like to see him perhaps try and back off a little bit, but he has decided that it is time to try and trade a little bit, wants to get rid of a couple of these Colossus, but one of them is getting low on its health, but he just cannot target it down. The Zealots at the front, taking up all the damage. The Phoenix can now go to work on the rest of these units, and that is a huge loss there for our Zerg player, Justice from XT. He is going to have to fall back for the moment. We can see the upgrades tab. He does have, well, he's got a couple of useful upgrades, but I mean, only +1 on his attacks there is really going to hurt him in the long run. And he does have +2 on his missile attacks coming very soon. These Zealots have made their way over to the 4th base and have disrupted mining here, and this gives Gemini a chance to move into position. If he can get a, is there a pylon somewhere? No, he doesn't have a pylon anywhere to whoop in, but he certainly could get in there and get some damage done inside the natural base. Justice pulled completely out of position. We can see how far back he is from the rest of the main battle here. The Colossi are now going to work on a lot of those small units on the ground. The Phoenix up in the air are going to provide some cover against any possible Mutalisk switchover again, but I don't think Justice is going to go anywhere near that. 12 Roaches now on the way, and he will force the Protoss player out for now, and carriers are coming. 2 carriers coming here for Gemini, so we are going to see the bad boys of the sky, the uncool kids, I guess, perhaps, but Gemini caught out a little bit, and it looks as if one of the Colossi will go down. Justice trying to target down the second one. If he can grab that, that'd be wonderful for him, but Zealots are now back inside the 3rd base, targeting down this hatchery. Will be able to get it here with their +2 on their weapons, +1 on armor as well, but the battle still rages at the front door. Gemini perhaps in a little bit of strife as the Roaches and Hydras are just tearing apart everything that comes through. Nice little time warp to try and keep some of these Hydras back, but he needs to be so careful with the positioning of some of these units. This Colossus getting a little bit worse for wear there. 20 shields there and around about 15 or 19 health. But while all this is going on, the mining of the Zerg is now being disrupted, and with those 2 carriers coming out, this could be quite an interesting addition to the army here, but Justice is going to lose some of his units. What does he really gain from it? He has not really disrupted his opponent's mining, and a 3-base Protoss is a very scary thing, especially when they're about to jump up to 4 bases. So Gemini is starting to really wreak a lot of havoc here on this map at the moment. The Roach is still trying to do what they can. These carriers are coming out to the rescue, it seems. Carriers coming to the rescue. It's not often I get to see something like that, but these 2 carriers make it onto the field, and Gemini is probably wondering, where did those come from? I didn't mean to build them, but he has now taken out the 3rd base of his opponent. We can see the hatchery just falling down now. Spore crawlers as well next on the menu for these charge lots with their +2 to weapons. They slice up these Zerg units extremely quickly. As we can see, the drones are coming back, but there is nowhere to return their resources to in quick time. And thus, we can see that our Zerg economy is starting to fall apart. Justice with his gas now starting to dive down, and at this point, this is where you really want to be on your hive tech, and you really want to get those Vipers out. You want Vipers, you want, you know, of course, some Corruptors can really help out at this point as well, but I mean, just any sort of hive tech at this point would be nice to have. Obviously, at this point, you'd want to be favoring anti-air based things because of the high presence of the Phoenix, of course, there will be Colossi, and, well, I don't know, who knows, maybe more carriers will come out, but we'll find out very soon, because Gemini is now looking to try and get some damage done on this base. He doesn't exactly know that it's there just yet, but you can probably assume from the look of what's going on, he knows that he's taken out his opponent's fourth over here. The third was also down as well, but now we can see the Hydras just making their way across. They will not be aware of this warp in up the top four. Zealots are going to make their way inside, should be able to hack apart quite a lot of those drones, or at least target down that hatchery. What is Gemini going to do at the front, though? He doesn't have as powerful as an army as you would normally see at this point, but one thing he does have are storms. Wonderful storms there from our Protoss player, just tearing apart all the Hydras and the Rovers of Justice. He has had enough. The two carriers perhaps were a little bit of a weird thing to see there for Justice, but he does go down in this PvZ. Wonderful play from Gemini from Vast Gaming there. Hope you enjoyed the match. I'll catch you all next time. Here, as you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more